This is the Uptick Network Stock Day Podcast, sponsored by InvestorsHangout.com. Penny stock news and interviews from the microcap world. Public information on OTC, pink sheets, and microcap stocks from around the world. With your host, Everett Jolly.
On today's show, I'm very excited to have our next guest. He's been hiding from us from a long, long time. Finally, we got him on the show. It's Dan Weir. He is the CEO of DNI Metals, Inc. Well, they trade on the OTC markets under the ticker symbol DMNKF. Dan, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much.
Give my listeners a little bit of about statement of what you guys do and who you are.
DNI Metals is a Canadian company. We're focused on graphite. Many of the people on our team, have built graphite processing plants and mines in Canada and in Australia in the 1980s. It was our team and our approach that realized that most of the mines or potential projects in Canada and the United States and Australia can't compete with other graphite properties around the world. As I mentioned, there was a number of them built in the 1980s in Canada. They all went bankrupt in the 1990s because they could not compete with China. It is our focus, DNI's 100% focus, to be a graphite producer, and we have three main points that we make out here. One, you've got to be a low-cost producer. Number two, you have to have clients. And number three, which is probably the most important thing here for your listeners, is that our market cap, I believe, as being the CEO of DNI, is ridiculously low. And there's a great opportunity for your listeners.
Absolutely. Last time I looked, it was around 1.7 million.
That is correct.
The reason why I wanted you to come on the show, I keep on hearing this buzzword about graphite and how it's going to be the next big thing in technology. And so, but I don't understand. I don't understand how do you monetize it. I understand, gold for an ounce. If I want to buy an ounce of gold, you're talking anywhere from $1,250 to, $1,300. I understand if I want to buy an ounce of silver, it's around $17, $15. But how do you guys measure graphite when you sell it to the open market, and who uses it?
Graphite has hundreds of different specs attributed to it. The main two factors are the flake size and the carbon content. So you could have very large flake with a certain carbon content that sells at a very high price. You could have very large flake with a low carbon content that would sell at a much lower price. So it's been very difficult for the investment community to understand how graphite is sold. As I mentioned, there are hundreds and hundreds of different specs. Each client that we have, and by the way, I'm actually selling graphite. I have a wholesale business where I import it from Brazil, and I've been selling it to North America. Each client will have different specs for the materials. Even, because graphite's used a lot in the battery industry.
Absolutely.
Every battery manufacturer has a different spec for their graphite as well.
I see. Well, I wanted you to come on the show because there's a word that you guys use over there, and I don't quite understand it. It's saprolite. Stresses graphite advantages, and I've heard that term a couple times, but can you explain to myself and my listeners what exactly that is?
In North America, as I explained in my opening information, is pretty much all the graphite that had been produced here, and currently there is no graphite production in North America. It had all been hosted in what you call hard rock, or think of like granite or really solid rock. Other places in the world, and the places that you have production in the world outside of China, produce from something called saprolite. It really is a fancy word for saying it's weathered rock. At one point in time, it was hard rock, and over thousands of years, Mother Nature has basically weathered the rock or broken the rock into pieces. It's a clay, sandy material. You find it in climates that have a lot of high temperatures, so Brazil and Madagascar, and that get a significant amount of rainfall. So you get the weathering of the rock. The big advantage to that is you can just simply go in with an excavator or a shovel, dig it up, and take it and process it. North American type plays are all hard rock. You have to drill it. You have to put explosives in. You have to blast it. Then you have to go and pick it up with machines. You have to take it back to the processing plant. You've got to grind it up, and there's multiple grinding circuits that you have to go through to basically get it to the product that we dig right out of the ground.
Wow.
The operating costs is significantly higher than what you'll find in Brazil and Madagascar, and the capex for these type of projects are a heck of a lot higher than what you will find in Brazil and Madagascar.
My guest today is Dan Weir. He is the CEO of DNI Metals, Inc. Well, they trade on the OTC markets under the ticker symbol DMNKF. I see you have a graphite wholesale business, and you purchase purchase orders of like 2,300 tons of graphite. What are your plans in this business model?
We realized that one of the most important parts if you want to sell graphite is you actually have to have customers. So we started a wholesale business in which I am buying graphite in Brazil and shipping it to North America. We currently have purchase orders this year for 2,320 tons of graphite. Our goal is to expand that. My goal in a perfect world would get that to over 3,000 tons in 2017, and in 2018 I'd like to expand that up between 5,000 and 10,000 tons. So as we develop our project in Brazil, it's great that we already have clients to be able to sell to.
Can we change gears here for a second? Can we talk a little bit about some metrics? Can you give us some metrics of maybe your balance sheet? You know, a lot of these OTC companies, they have horrible debt, toxic loans and stuff like that, and maybe give us some revenue projections or what you guys have done. I went back last couple of days, and it was very hard for me to find information on your company. Maybe you can bring that to the forefront for us today.
We still have some debt on our books. Most of it is from internal people like myself. I have not taken a paycheck in 2 years. We currently are out raising money right now. We're out raising $2.5 million currently to clean up our balance sheet, as well as look at a couple other strategic acquisitions that we are pondering.
And how about revenues? Are any revenues falling on the balance sheet yet?
From the wholesale business, we had revenues last year, and we'll have some more revenues this year from that. Just on those purchase orders that we currently have, you will see that it will show that we have approximately $300,000 Canadian that will make off those purchase orders that we currently have.
And so you see probably more revenues coming in here in the second and third and fourth quarter of 2017?
That is correct.
DNI recently signed a definitive agreement with Cougar Metals in regards to your graphite asset to Madagascar. Can you explain that deal?
What we did, and we made a decision at the board level that we really want to focus on the sales and the processing of the graphite, and we have a lot of expertise in doing that. We brought in a partner that owns 8 drill rigs. One of their board of directors owns a metallurgical lab in Australia, and another group involved with them does a lot of the research reports, so the resource reports as well as the PEAs. So they're experts at doing all of that work. We brought Cougar Metals in. They have to pay us a $500,000 cash, and they have to complete a resource study by June 30th, 2017, and a full PEA. PEA is a preliminary economic assessment on the property in Madagascar to earn into 50% of our project.
Well, it sounds like you guys got a lot of things going on here coming up to the second and third and fourth quarter. My guest today has been Dan Weir. He's the CEO of DNI Metals, Inc. They trade on the OTC markets under the ticker symbol DMNKF. In closing, Dan, is there anything that you would like to get out to my listeners that maybe you and I didn't get a chance to talk about?
As I mentioned, there's 3 points to our company. Number one, we believe that we'll be one of the lowest cost producers in the world because of the saprolitic graphite advantage that we have. Number two, having customers is very, very key to being an industrial minerals company. We are building up customers with the wholesale business. And number three is that I believe our low market cap here right now gives a very big advantage or opportunity for any potential investors.
Well, you heard the whole story from Dan Weir. He is the CEO of DNI Metals. I want to thank him for coming on the show. If you want to take a look at some of the products and what they're doing, you can go to their website. It's dnimetals.com. Dan, I wish you nothing but continued success and hope to hear back from you in about 40 to 50 days.
But thank you very much.
The following program is entirely sponsored and produced by Uptick Newswire LLC, which is responsible for the following content. The opinions and information provided on today's show are those of the guests and of those of the respective companies they represent, and does not necessarily reflect those of the staff or management of this station. Uptick Network encourages all listeners of the show to do their own due diligence and research when determining investment strategies that'll work for them, or to seek the assistance of an investment professional. The guests of today's show may have paid to appear on the show and are not directly affiliated with Uptick Network or this station.